On February 29th of 2016, Minecraft released its most controversial update ever, the 1.9 Combat Update. This update divided the multiplayer community, with many PvPers refusing to update past 1.8, even until this day 7 years later. Mojang has always been aware of their players' concerns with Minecraft Combat, and on June 26th of 2019, they released their first ever combat test snapshot. This was an experimental update made to completely revamp Minecraft's combat system for the better. Minecraft would continue to release frequent updates to the combat test snapshots, with the latest one being Combat Test 8C, released on August 26th of 2020. But unknowingly to players at the time, this would seemingly be Minecraft's last attempt at fixing combat, and there hasn't been a new combat snapshot ever since. But what if that wasn't the case? What would happen if Minecraft fully released Combat Test 8C as the next combat update? Did this update have the potential to reunite the PvP community, or would it ruin Minecraft PvP forever? Today, we'll be uncovering the truth behind the Minecraft Combat Test snapshots. So what exactly did Minecraft actually change in these experimental updates? Let's start by talking about some of the biggest changes made to Minecraft's combat system. The first one being variable reach, which is probably the most defining characteristic of the combat test snapshot, or CTS for short. Prior to the combat snapshots, the maximum distance you could hit another entity from was 3 blocks away. As of Combat Test 8C, pickaxes, axes, and shovels have 2.5 blocks of reach, swords have 3 blocks of reach, and tridents and hoes have 3.5 blocks of reach. Additionally, they also added a new charged attack mechanic. Charge attacks are visually represented by an attack indicator that appears below your crosshair. This attack indicator looks the same as the attack indicator in versions 1.9 and newer, but they represent completely different things. When your weapon is fully charged up, your next attack with that weapon will increase its range of reach by 1 block. For example, a charge attack with a sword will have a maximum reach of 4 blocks instead of 3 blocks. After attacking with your weapon, you need to wait for the attack indicator to fully fill up before you can perform a charged attack. For most weapons, you don't need to wait too long before you can perform a charge attack, and you can pretty comfortably mix them into your attacks while in PvP. The next big change has to do with attack speed and damage ticks. It's sorta hard to talk about these two things separately because of how much they influence each other in PvP. First of all, similar to Minecraft versions 1.9 and newer, each weapon has their own designated attack speed. But that's where the similarities end. In CTS, all of the weapons have a much faster attack speed compared to versions 1.9+. In fact, you can actually attack faster with high attack speed weapons than you can on 1.9 and 1.8. Additionally, you no longer need to wait for the cooldown to end to deal a full damage hit. Because of this, you can spam click again in CTS without having to worry about reduced damage or knockback. In fact, holding down left click on CTS will automatically attack for you, similarly to how auto clickers work on 1.8. But I haven't even begun to talk about the biggest change when it comes to all of this, and that change is how damage ticks work in CTS. To understand why this is such a big change, we first need to understand how damage ticks work in every other version of Minecraft. In every version of Minecraft outside of CTS, there's actually no limit to how fast you can damage other entities. Instead, after an entity takes damage, they receive 10 ticks, or half a second, of invulnerability before they can take damage again. This is why, in Crystal PvP for example, players can spam blow up crystals pretty much as fast as they want. Another example is being able to damage multiple entities faster than you can damage a single entity. But for the first time in Minecraft's history, CTS changed the invulnerability entities get after taking damage. From my testing, it seems like different sources of damage provide different amounts of invulnerability, but to keep things short, let me show you just how much this changes PvP. If 2 or more players are attacking you, you'll take damage from almost every single attack. If multiple players shoot an arrow at you, you'll take damage from every single arrow that hits you. If you're lit on fire during a fight, you'll take damage from both the fire and the person attacking you. In Crystal PvP, you can only crystal as fast as the attack speed of your fist, which is a massive nerf to Crystal PvP as a whole. Fast shooting projectiles like snowballs and eggs can be used to prevent another player from ever coming close to you, since every projectile that touches you deals knockback, and the list goes on and on. This is probably the biggest change in CTS in my opinion, because of how many things it affects. The rest of the changes in CTS aren't as complex, so I'm gonna try and speed run through them in under a minute. Alright, start the timer. You can now sprint it and crit at the same time, just like how you could in 1.8. If you charge your bow for over 3 seconds, your screen will start to shake. Taking damage while trying to eat or drink will cause you to be interrupted. Shields no longer have any warm-up delay, they have a smaller protective arc, they only block 50% of knockback now, and they only block a maximum of 5 damage. Additionally, the shield cooldown after a shield has been disabled has been decreased to 3 seconds. There's a new enchantment for axes called Cleaving that makes your axe do a bit more damage and disables shields for longer. Eating to full saturation no longer gives you a burst of regeneration like in 1.9 and newer, and you lose hunger much faster now. You can now hit players through tall grass and other non-solid blocks. You can bridge by placing blocks in front of you, however this is only exclusive to Combat Test 8A. Snowballs and eggs now deal knockback again, just like how they did in 1.8. Drinkable potions are now stackable up to 16. And those are most of the relevant changes that CTS introduces. If you want to read into more detail on the changes, the CTS wiki is in the description below.
Are you looking to spice up your setup? Well, look no further than the sponsor of today's video, the Flow Shop. At the Flow Shop, you can find premium yet affordable desk mats to elevate your PC setup to the next level. There's plenty of designs to choose from, including their brand new Deep Space and Cyber City collection, which I'm personally a huge fan of. Stock is limited, however, so if you want one, make sure to get one while you still can, and remember to use code FLOW on checkout for 10% off your order. Huge shout out to the Flow Shop for being today's sponsor, and with that being said, let's get back into the video.
So just knowing what's changed isn't going to give you a good idea on how good CTS is for PvP. Let's talk about the meta. A lot of people seem to think that CTS combat is similar to 1.8 combat because you can spam click again, but in reality, this couldn't be further from the truth. If you play like it's 1.8 PvP and go up against anyone that's half decent at CTS PvP, you're gonna get absolutely destroyed. This is because you can't charge attack while spam clicking, and doing this will put you at a massive disadvantage when fighting other players. Not to mention, clicking faster doesn't reduce your knockback like it does in 1.8. For everyone who thought CTS would be the revival of 1.8 combat, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but that's just pure copium. A lot of the same rules that apply in 1.8 and 1.9 combat also apply in CTS as well. You still want to try and sprint reset with every hit. However, given the faster attack speed, you're going to be mashing your W key way more to be able to do this, which in my opinion feels a bit more uncomfortable and fatiguing compared to 1.8 and 1.9 combat. Comboing is a very important skill set in CTS, more so than in 1.9 combat. However, combos in CTS function way differently than they do in 1.8 combat. There's two main types of combos that exist in CTS. The first is what I'm going to call the heartbeat combo. This is done by starting with a charge attack, ideally when you're as far away from your opponent as your reach allows you to be. After that, immediately follow it up with a sprint hit. After that, wait for your opponent to fall to the ground before attacking them, and you should be able to perform another charged attack by then. From there, you can repeat the same process to hold a combo for as long as you like. Here's what it looks like. Because you can sprint hit and crit at the same time in CTS, if you jump before each charge attack and hit the other player as you're falling, you can get a free crit with half of your attacks. This is one of the highest DPS ways to combo someone in CTS. The second way to combo is what I'm calling the 1.9 combo. This is because, as the name implies, you pretty much do it the same way you would combo in 1.9. This is done by charge attacking with every attack when your opponent is barely within your reach. Comboing like this is easier in my opinion, however, it does result in slightly lower DPS than the heartbeat combo. There are other ways to combo players in CTS, but they're mostly just different variations of the heartbeat combo. How you can combo is determined by what weapon you're using. Only the sword and the hoe can be used to both heartbeat combo and 1.9 combo due to their faster attack speed. You can combo with the trident, but you can't charge attack while comboing with it, which makes it a lot worse for comboing unless you use it in combination with a sword or a hoe. And forget trying to combo anyone with the axe, you're just wasting your time. For those with zero integrity, you can also use the hoe and the trident to escape sword combos because of their higher base reach. A charge attack with these weapons will stop a sword combo, regardless of how good your opponent's spacing is. However, this won't work if your opponent is also using a hoe or trident to combo you, unless they mess up their spacing. By far the best weapon for comboing is the hoe, due to its fast attack speed and high reach. However, it comes with the drawback of dealing significantly less damage than the other weapon options. Despite this, the hoe can situationally be one of the best weapons, depending on what game mode you play. In void-based game modes where you're trying to hit your opponent into the void, or in long fights where health sustain isn't really a problem and you're playing to break your opponent's armor, the hoe might unironically be your best weapon choice, as long as you know how to combo with it. However, in fights where everyone is relatively squishy or you don't have the void to insta-kill your opponents, other weapon options can be better. When it comes to starting combos, CTS provides a few new options that weren't viable in 1.9 combat. One of the most popular ways to start a combo in CTS is by throwing your trident, similar to how you would use fishing rods to start combos in 1.8. Although you can do this on 1.9 combat, it's a lot more viable on CTS due to the fact that you no longer get put on an attack cooldown when you switch your items. This allows you to sprint hit instantly after you throw your trident, which makes starting combos with it significantly easier compared to 1.9 combat. Additionally, since snowballs and eggs now deal knockback again, you can use them to start combos just like how you would in 1.8. With that being said, I wouldn't recommend using them in CTS however, since they're a tad bit broken right now. So now that you understand what CTS PvP is like, should this be the new combat system that Minecraft adopts? Well, let's talk about that. Two things I really don't like in CTS are the fact that you can sprint hit and crit at the same time, and the new eating interruption mechanic. I really like how 1.9 combat separated sprint hits and crits. Choosing between when to sprint hit versus crit when there's risks and rewards for each type of attack added a layer of decision making into Minecraft combat that I really enjoyed. As for the eating interruption feature, I get where Minecraft is coming from. They want to not make fights last 3 hours hours long because of how many healing items each player has. But the eating interruption mechanic is just going to make players play way more defensively, and it's going to feel super awful in a lot of game modes. Instead, they should reduce how stackable each healing item is so players have to sacrifice more inventory space to be able to carry excessive amounts of healing. But what about the bigger changes, like variable reach, charge attacks, and the faster attack speed? Let me start off by saying that all of the reach-related changes undoubtedly adds a new layer of skill into Minecraft PvP. But, in my opinion, and this might be a hot take, the base Minecraft combat system shouldn't be that complex. One of the biggest problems that Minecraft combat has had for years now is that it's extremely unintuitive, which makes it super difficult for new players to get into. Even without the reach changes, there's already so many variables like sprint resetting, spacing, crit combinations, hit selecting, jump resetting, and so on that make the base Minecraft combat system extremely complex. A lot of these mechanics aren't intuitive in the slightest, and it makes Minecraft PvP extremely difficult to get into if you're a new player. Adding more variables like charge attacks that increase your reach is only going to make PvP even more complicated to learn. Sure, it might make the skill ceiling higher, but in my opinion, the skill ceiling for 1.9 combat is already high enough. In my opinion, I think the base Minecraft combat system shouldn't be that complex, and it should be up to how you utilize items outside of your main weapons that adds a higher skill ceiling for the game mode that you're playing. If you feel differently about it, then hey, I respect it, but that's just my take as someone that's been playing Minecraft PvP for 10 years now. Regarding the attack speed changes, this is going to be super subjective, but one of the biggest reasons I got into Minecraft PvP to begin with was because of the rhythm of your attacks. On every other version of Minecraft, when you hit someone, it throws them into the air, and by the time you can hit them again, they've basically already fallen to the ground. When you're fighting against someone, it feels like both of you are bouncing to each other's attacks, and when you combo someone, it almost feels like you're bouncing a rubber ball away from you. This is a feeling that is indescribably satisfying to me, and it's the whole reason I love Minecraft PvP. The faster attack speed in CTS takes away this feeling for me, and although it doesn't necessarily add anything negative to Minecraft combat, it sort of takes away some of the magic that made me love Minecraft PvP so much to begin with. I understand that Minecraft did this to make fights feel more fast-paced, since that was one of the biggest complaints with 1.9 combat. However, I don't think it was the attack cooldown that made fights feel slow-paced. Like I said earlier, in every version of Minecraft outside of CTS, every player has half a second of invulnerability after they take damage. In both 1.8 and 1.9, you can sprint hit or crit another player as soon as that invulnerability timer ends. I think what made fights feel much more slow-paced in 1.9 combat was a combination of axe and shield gameplay, the knockback, and players just not understanding that they don't need to let their weapon cooldown fully end before attacking again. I really don't think Minecraft needed to make the attack speeds faster to make the combat feel as fast-paced as 1.8. In my opinion, I think 1.9 combat is the closest combat system we have to an ideal combat system for Minecraft. With that being said, it's definitely nowhere near perfect, and it still has a lot of really big problems that I mentioned in other videos. But these are problems that are fixable without drastically changing the game. Although CTS has a really unique and refreshing experience, I don't think it's worth it completely rehauling Minecraft combat for the third time now, and I feel like doing so would completely divide the PvP community, just like how it did when 1.9 first came out. Instead, I think Minecraft should focus on refining their current combat system to be the best that it can be. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say about Minecraft's experimental combat update. What do you think about CTS? Do you think it's an upgrade or downgrade to 1.9 combat? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you want to try CTS out for yourself, I'd highly recommend joining the CTS Discord server in the description. They have guides on how to properly install CTS and a list of available servers that you can play to experience it for yourself. Anyways, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.